And it is primary election results on WNY News Now. Thanks so much for being here with us. We have some breaking news here in Chautauqua County as a Republican candidate for sheriff, Jim Quattrone, has WNY News Now is able to confirm that he has won the endorsement of the Conservative Party tonight. We will have much more on that coming up in just a minute, but first some live breaking news as Cynthia Nixon speaks and concedes to Governor Andrew Cuomo. Let's listen.
Across this state, from Brownsville to Peekskill to Hoosick Falls. And we have reached out to voters who had never been talked to and engaged them on issues they'd never heard addressed by any candidate, much less a candidate for governor. We expanded the electorate by bringing new voters and younger voters into the process. And we did it all without accepting a dime of corporate money. This is a people-powered campaign, and we have received more individual donations than any Democratic candidate in the history of New York State. And 90% of those donations came from small donors. Running without corporate money isn't the easy way to run a campaign, but it's the right way, and it should become the standard for any candidate who wants to call themselves a Democrat. This is more than just a campaign, this is a movement. And the movement that we are building, it isn't just about one candidate or one election, it is about offering a vision of the way things could work if only we have the leadership and the political courage to make it a reality. This race for the Democratic nomination may be over, but the fight for the soul of the Democratic Party is just beginning. Because before we can take our country back, we have to take our party back. We have to take it back from corporate Democrats who are more interested in raising money from the rich than fighting for the poor. I am fed up with a Democratic establishment that warns candidates not to run on single-payer health care. That tells us to stop talking about abolishing ICE because it doesn't poll well. If Democrats are going to win in November, we have to stand for something tangible. It is not just enough. Steve, you got to put your camera down. It is not just enough. It is not just enough to be better than Donald Trump. We have to give people something to show up for. And that is why I am so inspired by the new generation of Democratic leaders running for office this year with a bold, progressive vision of what is possible. Candidates like Ayanna Pressley, Stacey Abrams, Andrew Gillum, Ben Dallas, and our own Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. This is an incredible moment.
So again, we're watching live Cynthia Nixon conceding in the Democratic primary to incumbent Governor Andrew Cuomo, who has won. And we, of course, many agencies calling it earlier. WNY News Now calling it around 20 minutes ago on our website. This, Rory, was pretty expected for a lot of people.
Well, she never got closer than 20 points in any of the polls. And I not taking sides, of course, but I think she said, we were told don't run on single-payer health care, which she did.
Right.
Don't run on abolishing ICE, which she did. And she got beat 2-1. In addition, she was running against a powerful incumbent, well-known, and I think the problem is they were both capturing the hearts and minds of New York City. And so she had to overcome his popularity in the city and create popularity in the rest of the state. I think it makes Cuomo the strongest candidate right now in the state.
Yeah, exactly. And he will obviously seize a lot from the New York City voters and the other major elections as well. Want to turn now to our Matt Hummel, as he's following a very important race for Chautauqua County, as WNYNewsNow projects James Quattrone to win the Conservative Party, meaning he will have their endorsement and be on the ballot with that, Matt. How much did Quattrone win by, Matt?
Well, and actually, it's not just projected, it's confirmed now with 51 districts, all 51 in. James Quattrone won by 113 votes. So it was 217 to 104. You had one write-in, but wow. I personally didn't expect that, Justin, today.
What was the percentage?
The percentage was 67.4 for Quattrone, and we're looking at a 32.3 for Geraci, so it was a wide...
Okay, I just think that gives a little better picture.
Good idea.
Yeah, absolutely. And we did speak with candidate Quattrone moments ago. Listen. Joining us on the phone is Chautauqua County Sheriff's candidate Jim Quattrone, who has won the Conservative Party endorsement tonight. Jim, congratulations. What's going through your mind right now?
Thank you. I'm just excited that the conservative voters in Chautauqua County listened to our message, apparently resonated with them, and excited that we have a 2-to-1 victory in this preliminary.
This is Rory Polero. Congratulations.
Hi, Rory. How are you?
I'm doing great, but you're doing better. Are you surprised that it was a 2-to-1 margin? I mean, that's a lot of votes.
I'm not sure that I'm surprised. We were able to go out into the communities and talk to many of the voters face to face, knocking on doors, and we were having a great response. And we're very appreciative that they took the time to get out and vote.
Well, this was expected by a lot of people that we've talked to be much closer. What does this say about the general election?
I'm excited for the general election. I believe the public recognizes the need for change, and recognize the need for a responsible, effective budget, and that we really have to see this collaboration. And that's been a message we've been talking about consistently. And I believe the public sees that. If we want to be more effective in fighting this drug war, that we're going to have to work together. And I believe because of the endorsements I've been able to receive and the support that I've gotten from other agencies as well as the public, it shows that they have confidence that I can bring the agencies together to do the job that needs to be done to keep the community safe.
Jim, what is next for you on the campaign? Any big events coming up? How people can connect with you? What's next after tonight's win?
Tomorrow we have a debate of sorts at the Post-Journal, and just again, different public events, getting out into the communities, town hall type meetings, I should say. I don't know if we call them town hall, but meet and greets at various locations around the county. Many of them are more spontaneous, where we let people know where I'm going to be, where they can voice their concerns, and we can talk about it and try to come up with some solutions for the communities.
All right. Thank you for joining us here tonight, and congratulations.
Thank you very much.
So again, that was James Quattrone there on the phone with us as well. Now, Matt, we are looking at some other races too. I know we're working to get Chautauqua County Sheriff Joe Geraci on the phone here. But what other local races are we able to talk about tonight?
Well, we're going to start in Bustide. They're looking at a county committee race And Randall Holcomb received 85 votes, first place there in the Republican Party. Susan Drago, not far behind. She lost by 5. And then Douglas Shute was 74. Now, what exactly is the county committee? I'm not certain. Have we figured that out yet?
Those are the people who are members of that party's county committee. They're the committee that decides. 4 candidates come to the Democratic County Committee and say, we want to run for county executive. So the county committee sits down, panel, talks to them, and then votes who they want. They're like a mini convention, I guess would be the best analogy. The committee runs the party locally.
Now, are there a lot of those locally?
Yeah, usually every place has one.
I have to admit, this is the first time I've actually seen it, I guess, in a race. Maybe it's something that they've had somebody elected before.
They've had this for years, committee.
I'm behind
You probably know a lot of committeemen and don't realize they're committeemen. Would be my guess.
You're probably right. But one thing I do know what they are town justices. So we're going to go to Portland. And in Portland, Thomas DeJoe won the independence nomination with 15 votes there.
Yeah, I know it's a small sampling, but and it's a part-time job, but it makes you feel like if you've got enough relatives, you can maybe win. That's why I like local politics better than national in that regard, because we have enough people in this room. If this were a small community, every vote matters.
And remember, too, what I've noticed, if somebody strives to make it big in politics, it always typically you'll start locally. That's one way of getting in. Start it in the small town, build your way up. Maybe this is where we go.
Well, we had Stan Lundeen as a local example of that. He went from being the mayor of Jamestown to congressman and lieutenant governor.
Justin, do you have something?
Oh, and also, you were also following the Ripleytown Justice vote as well. On the conservative ticket, this is a very interesting kind of flip-flop vote there. Obviously, the town of Ripley is probably one of the lesser populated areas in Chautauqua County. But Lawrence Friglin, is that how you would say his name?
Looks like Fraley.
I think it's Fraley.
Lawrence Fraley is projected to win there, and then his opponent, John Hummel, is projected to win the independence endorsement there as well. So they will obviously still both be on the separate ballots come this.
And you know what that means? Big election in that town.
Right, absolutely. Yeah, certainly for the town of Ripley. We did speak to Chautauqua County Sheriff Joe Geraci, who talked about what is next for his campaign after tonight's loss.
Well, I thought he was very gracious.
Chautauqua County Sheriff Joe Geraci joins us on the line now. Sheriff, good evening to you. Obviously, the news breaking that Jim Quattrone taking the Conservative Party endorsement. What's your general reaction to this? Did you expect it to be closer than it was?
I really didn't know what to expect. It's very small voter turnout, unfortunately, but it's people that normally would not vote for Democrats. So I'm very pleased with those that did.
What does this mean for November? If anything, at this point?
Well, the election that counts is in November, and what it means another line on the ballot. I've been endorsed by the Democratic Independents and Working Families Party, so now all eyes are on the charge to November.
What is next for you and your campaign going forward in the next couple of days? Are you having any events, any outreach with people?
Well, every day that I have time to do that, we are doing things. I am managing a very complex agency at the same time.
Right.
So, I do everything I can outside of that job.
Of course. And then obviously, your supporters tonight, who maybe were conservatives, certainly probably feeling kind of a little loss. What would you say to them? Obviously the election is not over.
Correct. No, I very much appreciate those that came out to support me, and hope they continue to do so in November.
Awesome. Chautauqua County Sheriff Joe Gerace, thanks so much for joining us here tonight at this later hour. We appreciate it.
My pleasure. No problem. My pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you. Take care. And we wanted to check in with your comments as well. Tracy saying congratulations to Jim Quattrone on his big win tonight for the Conservative Party as well. Nicole giving her love here in the comments as well. Ashley chiming in here. She's saying projected doesn't mean they won, so let's get both projected winners out. Ashley, not sure 100% what you mean by that, but we can assure you that the projected votes obviously have to count absentee votes as well, which is very important.
I was going to point out these are not official results. These are the results that the Board of Election has as of the machine count.
Right. So, but at this point, in such a small race as well, we are able to, for the most part, determine that they won.
I doubt that there were enough conservative absentee ballots to tip the scale.
Right. Wanda chiming in, she says, congratulations, Jim. It's time for change. And Penny saying, awesome on both results. Susie saying congratulations as well. And Kathy saying hello. Kathy, thanks so much for staying up late with us here. We certainly do appreciate your company. Rory Polero, a final check of some of the state races. I know that it looks like the lieutenant governor race is still pretty much too close to call.
Well, yeah, I'm not comfortable calling it. Earlier on in our previous report, it was too close to call. And then Jermaine Williams was ahead for quite a while, but now Kathy Hochul leads 53 to 47% with 85% of the districts reporting. So it's at this point it's likely that Kathy Hochul will retain her lieutenant governor's nomination, but it's not in the bag yet. Attorney General, it's a 10-point lead. Letitia James leading Zephyr Teachout, 41 to 31. Then Sean Patrick Maloney's got 25%, and he did extremely well in Chautauqua County. It was a blowout in Chautauqua County in his favor. But the other thing I wanted to point out, and this has been mentioned several times, is Cynthia Nixon might not be done. She could run as a write-in or some other party, and she's got 437,000 votes. And it's very likely that a lot of the supporters of Cynthia Nixon will drift away from the traditional Democratic Party. They could go to Howie Hawkins or of the Green Party, or they could go to Larry Sharp, or they could go to, they're not going to go to Mark Molinaro, that's pretty obvious. Some of them will leave Cuomo, though. And so she still has a bit of a, even though she got beat 2-1, she's still a bit of a power player between now and November.
Absolutely. And the Reform Party as well for State Attorney General, we were able to call that, correct?
That was Nancy Sliwa, and she won it pretty easily, actually. That was one of the earlier ones to call, and she did really well.
Awesome.
In a 3-person race, I believe.
Right. And of course, we will continue to keep everyone updated on this on WNYNewsNow.com as the night progresses here, and we'll be watching that lieutenant governor race very closely as well. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us here tonight. Of course, latest tomorrow as well at noon on New and Noteworthy. Hopefully see you then.